Hey Coin Snatchers, before we jump into this episode, I want to let you know that I decided to create an exclusive listening and video bonus for all my listeners to join. You can become a book bae or business bae for only $5 a month. You will get access to additional podcast episodes and exclusive videos, along with blog posts of information that I want to share only with my BB baes. So, go on over to patreon.com/Cinquanta Cox-Smith and join today. I'll make sure I leave all the details in the description so you can join me as a BB bae today. Welcome back to the Coins and Connections podcast, where we explore all things books, business, and bullshit. My favorite bees. Now let's get into today's episode. Hey guys, welcome back to the Coins and Connections podcast, season 2, episode 7. I am Cinquanta, and I'm super excited to have a special guest with me today. I have Ashley Clark. She is the founder of Cents 2 Cents, and she coaches families on how to change their beliefs about money and break generational financial curse for children of color. Parents count on her practical resources, kid-friendly tools, and easy-to-follow guidance to deposit financial freedom into their children's future. So welcome, Ashley, to the Coins and Connections podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be speaking with you.
Yes, I'm glad to have you here. And as saying goes on the Coins and Connections podcast, we always start our episodes off with rapid fire questions. So these are just questions that I'm going to kind of throw at you and then just answer whatever comes to your mind first. You ready?
Ooh, the pressure is on. Okay, I'm ready. No time to filter. I like it.
It's time for our rapid fire question of the day. Yes. All right. So the first question is, if you could buy any type of food right now, what would you buy?
Some tacos. Mexican food.
What kind of tacos?
I like chicken tacos, refried beans. That's my favorite.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. We just missed Taco Tuesday.
I know.
But we can have it every day of the week.
That's right. My kids yesterday were saying Taco Wednesday, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. So if a movie was made about your life, what genre would it be in, and who would play you?
Ooh. Oh, wow. It would definitely be a comedy because I like to get through life by laughing. Who would play me? That's a really good question.
It make you think.
Yeah, who would play me? You know who I like? The young girl who just produced a movie. I can't think of her name, but I like her a lot. She was
Is it Marseille Martin?
Yeah, Marseille Martin.
I
like her vibe a lot, so I'm cool with Marseille Martin playing me.
That would be dope. So this is a good one. When I dance, I look like.
When I dance, I look like a well-clothed stripper.
Ooh, yes.
That
is too funny. Okay, hard or soft?
Hard.
How hard?
Very hard, please. I like my tacos hard too, speaking of.
So what is your last thought before going to bed?
Well, I'm big on manifestation and mindset, and so I like to clear my mind as much as possible, and I like to speak thoughts of gratitude.
Yes, that's how we all should be going to bed. Giving thanks and making sure we wake up the next morning too.
Right.
Okay. So I get asked a lot, how did you start your podcast? Where do I begin? How can I start a podcast? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. You know, I'm down with the free. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum
listenership. Like, ain't nobody listening yet and you making money. How dope is that? It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So what are you waiting on? Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hey guys, today I'm here to talk about Printful. So Printful is an on-demand order fulfillment and warehousing service that fulfills and ships products including clothing, accessories, and home and living items for online businesses. So if you've been following along on my YouTube channel or here on my podcast, you've heard me talk about print on demand and you heard me talk about Printful. I enjoy Printful and I call it my number one source for print on demand, fulfillment, and shipping. They're awesome with their customer service and I recommend them to anyone who wants to start shipping products with no startup costs. It's free to use and I love just getting my samples in the mail. I love seeing my customers super excited about the quality of their t-shirts and other items. So if you want to go ahead and join Printful, visit bit.ly/PrintfulCC to sign up. So we're going to go ahead and get into our main topic. And I'm excited because I really want to know the answer to our very first question. And it is, how did you come up with your business name?
Oh man, and I get that a lot. I didn't know that the name was going to be so good when I thought about it. First of all, I really don't know. So I was like, since, and I was like, since, and I was trying to figure out what the word plays. So I sent it out to a few friends, and I was like, should I say since, number 2 cents, since 2 cents? And I believe my friend Tiffany had a great influence, and she was like, since 2 cents. But I kind of knew since and since I wanted to go together. So just figuring out how I wanted it to flow. So I started asking my friends, like, hey, what y'all think? Tell me what you think about this. So that's how I came up with it.
Okay, I like that. I like when friends they're like our little co-workers, but they don't know.
Right. Like, hey, I need y'all to help me figure this out.
Your opinion real quick. So tell me a little bit about your business and when did you start?
All right. So my business is promoting financial literacy. I unofficially started years ago without even knowing it. And I was helping one of my friends with their credit, with their budgeting. And she was like, you need to help other people do this. Why don't you help other people do this? So in October of 2018, I was like, okay, I'll help other women do that. Just by, just because I didn't realize that the information that I knew, so many people did not know. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna help ladies do this. And then I started. People were like, "We wish we had this when you were kids." I have kids working at a bank. I used to get frustrated when people would come in and they'd be like, "Oh, what's this? What's this? What is the interest? I'm paying. My credit card is not going down." And I had my coworkers at the time. I was like, "Let's write down the words that we hear a lot that people need explanations of." So we started doing that. And so I would take it home to my kids and I'm like, this is the stuff I want you to know. And actually I posted on Facebook and surprisingly enough, you were one of the people like, I hope you have these are cards. And my cousin and other people just were like wanting more. So I was like, well, I mean, I know it's a market for it because I work in a bank and people are continuously asking. And I always heard people say, I knew this when I was a kid. And I like to be proactive better versus retroactive. So I'm like, let's get with these kids. I love working with kids, of course, having my own. So that's how it all began.
Yeah. So speaking of the bank, was that your first job in the financial industry?
Well, my first job in the financial industry was actually banking. I started out as a teller when my daughter probably about 11 years ago. And so I started out with banking, but I always like in college, economics was my major. I fell in love in 10th grade. Miss Clark was my economics teacher, and I fell in love with economics. And I don't know, I just got it. I was like, oh God, I like how this stuff works and seeing all this stuff. So it just continued from there.
I love that. It's so crazy because sometimes our callings are on our life before we even realize it. So we go through those stages.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, so this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Right. Yeah. Even now when I get, interviews and people are asking like, how long, as I have to think back, I'm like, when I was a little girl, like 7 years old, I asked my dad to bring me $10 worth of dimes. Little stuff like that. Like my grandma always said I need to save, not realizing that, all of it was going to work together for my good later on in life.
Yep. So I want you to go ahead and kind of explain to us about your Sense board game and your cards. Like, tell the people, what is it about? Who is it for? How did you come up with the idea? And I'm just gonna let you have the floor. And
okay. All right. So we kind of spoke about it a little bit, but with going from working at the bank, and then I having my own children and finding the flashcards and simple words, as like, entrepreneur, things you want your child to know and be aware of are things that I talked about. And so we have 55 cards within our initial pack. We're actually working on a second pack of cards, that go and dig a little bit deeper. And I'm going to continue as it grows further. So I had the flashcards, and I'm like, now the kids understand it is, how can I give them real life experience or real life scenarios? And so that's where I thought about the board game. I knew I wanted to do a game, but it didn't kind of get solidified till later on within my journey. But the board game, my favorite part of the game is the credit spinner. So you start out with fair credit, but different things that you do, you can get worse credit, bad credit, that may affect your credit, because that's a big important part that a lot of kids and a lot of people need to know. Credit is important. And then my second favorite thing is the life happens card. So you can pull a card and it's like, and this is important, especially for in the African American community. People, a loved one died and you didn't have any life insurance.
Child.
You're gonna have to come out of pocket and pay. So I want people to have these conversations with their children. Like, oh wait, because people are like, when I started with the credit cards in the credit class, they're like, oh, my son got in the car asking me what my credit score was, and I was like, okay, good. I hope you told them and were honest and let them know. So that's kind of things I wanted to think about. I mean, I talk about, we have the self-care cards where you have to take a day, just read a book, listen to some music, hang out with friends, because financial literacy is important. And I always tell people, in order to be financially literate, you have to value yourself enough to know that it is worth the time that it takes to move forward, is worth the time to go for it. So that's a little bit about the game. So without the game, you can buy investments, you can buy properties, you can start a business within the game based on different lending. And every place on the card, most of the places on the card are, family related. You might see Gray and Ross.
I noticed that.
Those are my family related. Atterbury, that's my grandmother's initial name. And you might see a very special place on the board is Kitty Land, and that's my mother-in-law who passed last year. So just trying to honor my ancestor and the people I love, the people that have been down for me. So that's about the board game. So now I have so much more coming out. So now we have books. We have a coloring book that's for the smaller children that talks about saving. So a lot of exciting stuff is coming. Now that I'm home and I've left my job as of March 15th, I have the time to just sit and figure out what I want to do. And I'm just like, oh, this is a good idea. This is a good idea. And so now I'm like writing it down and manifesting it.
Yeah. And I have the board game and I have the cards, and me and my husband, we played the board game together, which was fun because, I was beating him. But then at one point I was like, dang, now you got more money than me. But it was one thing that I thought was good when it says, every time you like get money or you go around, save some. And that's how I won the game.
Oh, yes.
Because every single time I got some extra money, or I went around, I saved money. So he never saved anything.
Oh, yeah. See, and that's
So
how
yeah.
my son Justice he's a saver. He's a saver in real life, and he's a saver in game. And crazy enough, I created the game, but I still have not beat him yet. But he makes sure he saves each time, and that a lot of times that's how he wins, because he's saving. And you think about that for being able, for children, it's like, oh wait, maybe I do need to save.
Yep. And if you guys are listening, make sure you hop over to YouTube so you can see Ashley showed some of the flashcards, and then she gave us a little sneak peek of the coloring book. So if you guys are just listening on the podcast, make sure you hop over on YouTube so you can see that. So I am going to kind of just section to some throwback questions, and I want to ask you, what were you doing at 26? I mean, but you actually still look 26.
Oh,
you
shoot,
might look 18.
Okay. She really like hyping me up, y'all. So at 26, it's crazy enough you asked that. I think that was around the age I met you.
Really? Was that what, 2011, 2012?
Yeah, because I remember my son was still a baby, and we were doing network marketing.
Lord, we was.
So yeah, so that's when I met you. I was working at a bank, and I was working at a bank full time, and I just got into network marketing and started networking. That's how I met you. So it's
That's
crazy
so cool.
that was the age you asked.
I just happened to put an age on the paper, and it was a good age. Dang, that's so crazy. But yeah, guys, me and I met Ashley. I had just moved to Savannah from Maryland, so I was like fresh, and I don't even know how I think it was like a military spouse who put me on to the network marketing, and then we all met, and then it was like I saw you saw me, and it was like click click click,
like hey girl, hey.
That was it. And let me tell y'all, Ashley is so dope because she had invited me into her circle of friends, and I done had girls' night out with them.
Yes.
like they all went to school together, and that speaks to your character because you invited me, to your circle of friends, and I still call Brittany my cousin to live.
With just positive energy, good energy always flows. Well, you can't bring everybody around your friends. They're like, Oh, when you came in and we had a good time, like you went to school with us just as much. And like I said, that positive energy just rubs. It's everywhere.
So I want to ask you, what is one of the most important things that you've learned in your life thus far? Because I know we still got a lot of learning to, get through, but what is one of the most important things you've learned thus far?
Let me tell you the most important thing that I've learned. And this was in last year. I had a heck of a year, okay? So my husband's grandfather, who was like his father figure, passed. My mother-in-law passed, and on my daughter's 10th birthday, we had to go to a funeral. Then her best friend, her grandmother, passed, and then within that same week, I always remember when I first started getting ill because I didn't want to wear glasses to my mother-in-law's funeral, but I had to because my vision was so off. And so with that, I had a pretty rough year, and then I ended up in the hospital in rehab. And one of the anesthesiologists gave me a book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Joe Dispenza. And it's been life-changing to know the power of your mind. The power of your mind. That is like, now I like all the books. So I got that book, and then somebody was like, hey, I want you to read this book. And it was a book on your mind. And since then, like, everything has elevated. My life has changed tremendously because I know the power of your mind. Like, we all have a mind, but I don't think we ever know the real truth of the power of the mind. I could go on and on and on about that, but that's it. The power of the mind, your thoughts, your mindset, your prayers, your affirmations, your meditation is all needed to keep you in the right space.
Yeah. So basically, what does your life look like now after learning that?
Well, I think the biggest thing is now I've been saying I was tired of working at the bank. I wanted to be in control of my life, control of my destiny, control of my income, control of what I can say and not say to someone. And now, I mean, as of March 15th, like I said, I let go of my job. And it's crazy to say, because the other day I was like, somebody asked me when I started this business. And I was like, could be 2019. That's the year I had in 2019. So I was trying to think of every way to make this. No, I had to start in 2018. It couldn't be that I was in a hospital. I went to all those funerals, and this business has grown like this. So knowing that it's amazing. It's changed my life. Like I said, I'm in control of my destiny now. I'm not working anymore for anyone else. I'm in control of me. So that's been my biggest blessing.
I had quit my last full-time job in March of, I believe it was 2017. So March must be like the year the month to be quitting.
I gotta go. It's March, right after Black History Month. Okay.
Yes. Okay. We got woke up and was like, guys, I'm out on y'all asses. But so now that you're home full time, what does a typical day look like for you?
A typical day for me is I wake up, and my first thing I do is I go to sleep with gratitude. I wake up with gratitude. I wake up and realize my legs are working, because when I used to wake up, my legs weren't working. I got to a point where I couldn't walk. So the first thing I'm like, oh shoot, I'm up. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then then I put my legs over. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm standing up. Thank you. So I express a lot of gratitude. My children are getting older now, and we homeschool. So now that's something also I started last year. I don't know how we got through that. Wow.
Yeah.
But I make sure they get up, because they'll sleep all day if they can. All that TikToking all night, honey.
I know.
So we get up, we get some breakfast, we get going. I come into my office. I'm in my office now. I have a chair over here, and I actually spend some time meditating. And so I meditate on what my day will be like. And I call my mom. I've hired my mom. And so a lot of times I have to tell you, Mom, this is a conversation as you work for me, not as a mom. So I call my mom, and I'm like, hey, this is the rundown. Is this, make sure everything is going. And my days are a lot better now, because when I used to wake up, I used to had to check orders. I used to have to ship orders. But now with them coming from the warehouse, I just watch the orders come in and watch them orders come out. So that's another big difference and a big blessing in my life. So we get going, make sure my kids are on their assignment and not TikToking and Fortnite. And so we finish out the assignment. We usually we have a good meal. My daughter started cooking. She loves cooking. So my daughter loves to cook. And I have a son that loves my son loves to wash dishes. So I'm like, oh, like this is ideal. So then we go out, and then usually my husband has a room upstairs. At the end of the night, we try to play like Uno or something on the Amazon Echo. We just learned out how fun those games are. So yeah, that's what we do.
You can play games on it?
Yes, girl. Yes. Learn
something new every day.
Yes, I'll make sure I send you the link, because we're up there like, oh gosh, you can pay prices right, all kind of stuff on there.
Oh yeah, that sounds fun.
It's fun.
So I know you are a social butterfly. So what platform do you feel you get the most engagement on?
It's Instagram. It's Instagram. And I've worked since like on Instagram, trying to, figure out Instagram and engagement and all that. With this business, I finally figured it out.
Yeah.
And so Instagram is my biggest, and now my Facebook is growing a lot also. So Instagram is number one for me, just because you get to engage with I've met some amazing people on Instagram, some great friends and followers. I had one person when I first started this, where I was helping women. I was like, anybody want to be goal friends? Let's work on our goals together. Like 2 years ago. I met this young lady named Love. She was like, "Yeah, let's go, let's do it." And since then, she's been on BET. She's doing amazing stuff. She's a producer, and it's all from Instagram. We never met each other. She had a baby, and I'm telling my husband like, I got to go because I need to check on Love because she just had a baby. So I love the vibe on Instagram.
Yeah. And I know you're big on manifesting. And I know you have a cool story. So tell the people how you manifested your board game.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, I knew I wanted a board game. And it came to a point last September where when I started where I couldn't walk, I couldn't see, I couldn't walk. And then I ended up where I couldn't talk. And I got to the hospital and I couldn't do anything besides think and sit up there. And so I would get all of these, I would get ideas. It's like God would just be like, downloads coming to me like, you need to do this. And this is how you should do it. And I'm like I said, I couldn't talk. I couldn't express that. But I got all these thoughts downloaded. And I saw, I always say, if it wasn't for my struggle, I wouldn't know my strength. Because in that time, that's when I realized also before I even got the books about the mind, I'm getting all these ideas like, oh, you could do this, you could do this. And it just came up. And then once I was able to talk, I'm telling my mom, like, give me the pen, let me write it down and tell you what I'm thinking of. And it just manifested.
Yeah. And then also tell them about how you used to take the pictures. With other people.
Oh yeah. So the bank ad I used to work at was in a Walmart. So of course, anytime you think of something, you go to Walmart. So like I said, at night we try to play games with our kids. So I try to get a game every night. So I go in the back. I put my manager out of work. I was like, hey, I need you to come take a picture of me with this game. And so I would get the game and I would hold it and I would bring in the energy as if it was my game. I'm like, oh my God, my game. So I go through that. And I did that multiple times. And there's a picture floating on the internet of that. But until finally, once my game finally came, I got it. And I'm like, oh my God, the same feeling. And it was that same energy, that same feeling that I tried to put out because I knew one day it would happen. So just having that. And also with this game right here, I mean, not this game, with this book, Peyton Saves, I had the timeline since before I went to the hospital. And then one day I'm getting in bed, like I said, those downloads, and then it's like, boom, make it a coloring book. For the smaller children won't only have a story, but they can write in the story and it'll work. I mean, and it just flows. And so I'm hoping this book, it'll be out very soon. And look, I have this lady with some braids in here.
Yes, boo.
We got her husband with a nice face. So I want people to see. I want children to know that, see themselves in the black and brown images that are on here. Just to know that all things are possible.
Yeah. So I guess I would go back to professional as a banker, but I feel like you probably would say the same profession, but what other profession other than the one that you've already been in or started in would you choose other than, financial? Like if you would just choose whatever, something to be in a different industry.
If I had to choose a different industry, it would be a teacher, where I can reach kids and teach kids. Just because I think children need to see themselves in the classroom. I was in 7th grade when I had my first teacher with locks, and here I am with locks now. And I love this so much. But being able to see yourself in your learning environment, please, representation matters.
Yes, it does. So this question is always funny to me. I feel like your family is pretty much a bunch of entrepreneurs and go-getters and bosses. But is there anybody in your family that does not understand what you do for a living? And do you bother to even explain it?
No. Everybody understands. My mom is like the ultimate entrepreneur. So I think pretty much everybody knew that it was that's what we were going to do, point blank, period. So everybody understands. My cousin came, who my mom just helped start a business last week. And he was like, that's all y'all do is talk about business? And we were like, kind of, and how our businesses are going to allow us to do the things we want. We want to talk about something else. Let's talk about the trips we will be taking, okay?
Yes, I like that. So if you could work with 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be?
If I could work with 3 people that are alive. Okay, first of all.
Well, dead or alive, either or.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I really have always loved Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. So it might be awkward, but I really would love to. I'm going to manifest that, y'all. So y'all be able to go back to this and tell. I would love to work with Issa Rae. She's dope. I would love to just work with Michael Jordan just because he's dope. And let's see, one other person dead just because of his mind frame and the things that he said. And I listen to his music often, and I'm still it's Tupac. I'm always amazed at the things that he's saying. I'm like, how is this all still so relevant? I'm like, this man was so ahead of his time. And I listen to Tupac. I listen to Tupac in the shower. Okay, sometimes Janae Aiko, sometimes Tasha Cobb, sometimes Tupac. Okay, and just listen to his mind. He's number 1 on the list.
Yeah, blown away by so many young people taken away from us that were just brilliant.
Right.
Like Nipsey Hussle, another one. Just the way he was educating through his music and girl.
Yes.
Oh, hold up.
You know what? I cannot.
Okay, so after this podcast airs, what's one thing that you want people to know about you after this episode?
I want you all to know that once upon a time that I stopped believing in myself.
That's deep.
I stopped believing in myself. I stopped caring. I battled anxiety. I battled depression. It's always crazy. I tell my husband now, I just got over social anxiety. Now we have to social distance. Wow. How is that happening to me? Once upon a time, I stopped caring. I stopped believing in myself. And big thing I want you all to know is I saw Cinquanta. I saw Cinquanta still promoting, still pushing her books. And I'm like, and everything that she does. And I'm like, I need to get back in the game. So I want to thank you so much for being so open and transparent with your journey and your goals. Because also when I said I want to do flashcards, the first thing I did was book the call with you. And I was like, Q, okay, what I need to do. And you put me in a mindset and mind frame that it was possible. So wherever you are in life, whatever it may be, whether you're dealing with anxiety, depression, you just feel like it's not possible, you can pull yourself back up, because 3 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that this is where I would be. And thankful to be surrounded by good energy, positive friends, positive people like Q Money Bags.
Hey.
It just to keep going. So that's why I always try to tell people, you know, I now that I have my business going, I'm big on the start the business. I want other people to know that you can be done. Just it's nothing special. Well, I am kind of special, but it's not. Of course, it's not anything that you can't do that I can't do.
Yeah, facts. So on that note, what type of advice could you give to someone who is just in that like, oh, I think I have an idea, but like, what advice would you give to somebody on the fence about sis starting the business?
First of all, I'm gonna say, sis, start the business, because it's amazing how an idea can turn into something amazing. When I told my mom about Sensitive, I was like, I'm gonna help kids with financial literacy. She was like, be quiet. Don't tell nobody else, and let's do it. Don't you tell anybody else. We're going to just do it. And so at that time, I'm like, okay, because my mom, like I said, she's a hustler. But now I understand it. And my biggest advice, as I tell with all of my clients who I do coaching on starting a business, is you got to dedicate yourself to 18 months, no matter what is going on in your life. You are not going to give up on yourself or this business. I made them a year and a half. Because in a year and a half, when you see how much you've grown, even if it's a little or a lot, you're going to be amazed how sticking to it has changed your life. And with me, like I said, last year I sat on the front row of too many funerals. I was in a hospital and rehab. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. I barely could see. I had a patch on my eye.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for me promising myself that I would not give up, I would have. So make that promise to yourself. Write a contract. Write it down. You will not give up once you start from that idea and work on it diligently.
Yeah, and be consistent as possible. You know, like I always tell people, consistency looks different for everybody.
Right.
But if you could commit to one day a week, maybe, you know, one day a week, a few hours a week, if they have to be a Sunday morning, a few hours, you know, just be consistent. Show up for your damn self.
Exactly.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years from now, I have so many goals, y'all. In 5 years from now, my most recent goal is having a warehouse, a fulfillment center for Black and brown entrepreneurs where they can start banging out their products and make sure it's done and done efficiently and professionally. That's one of my goals that I will have. And then from there, I want to start other business, like with things that I love, like a gun range. Once marijuana becomes legal, I'm going to have a dispensary also. So those are some of the main things. But right now, the warehouse, real estate, I'm big on land. I'm always looking at land. Like telling my mom, my sister's like, hey, let's buy this land. So we're big on buying land. So I just want to continue to grow and flourish and not only help myself, but help my people, make sure we all are set up for success because it's our time to step up and show out.
Most definitely. So this segment is called Q Money Bags Thought of the Week. So as we move to the last segment of the podcast, which is called the Q Money Bags Thought of the Week, my question is, what is a financial tip that you can give business owners right now during this pandemic? Because, child, I'm seeing a whole lot of fuckery online. People be like, y'all need to pay them people. Yeah, they say they don't give you a couple of months. It's just a lot. So from your viewpoint, what is like one solid good tip that you could give us right now?
First thing first, because I just looked at this before I left, it's scam. Don't get caught up in a scam. Easy money, quick money. Do not do it. Don't send somebody money for you to get money. That's number one. I say that more as a banker also. And also as a business owner is keep your receipts. Keep your receipt. Keep track. Keep track of everything that you have going on. Keep your receipts. Keep your budget. Stay on point. You got to get all your stuff and keep it together so that in the end, because everybody listening is going to be multimillionaires.
Yes.
And once we hit that stage, you know, the IRS is going to know what's happening. Keep your receipts intact. Don't fall up for scams. That's my biggest advice. Don't get caught up in scams.
Please don't. So now I want to just give you the floor to tell the people where they can find you out here on these internet streets.
All right, I'm in the internet streets. Okay, so on everything on Instagram is Sense SENSE, the number 2 Sense CENTS, and it's the same on Facebook. On Twitter, where I get a little bit more personal, it's Ashley. So ASHLEY 2 cents, Ashley 2 cents. That's CENTS, and just find me, holler at me on Instagram. I love connecting with dope people, just as I connect positive energy with Q Money Bags. So find me, follow me. I'll send me a message, say you found me here. I'll follow back. And yeah, I think that's
where can we get the board game?
The board game is on my website. The board game is actually sold out for the second time. So every time I order more, every time they sell out again. So sense2sense.org. Go to .org, not .com, okay? I'm telling you. It's sense2sense.org. The financial literacy board game, the book is going to be coming out soon. I have 2 books. I have the book for younger children and book for older children coming out within the next 2 weeks. We have a lot of good products. We have some downloadables you can get for easy, fun access. It's fun. I try to make financial literacy fun, so the kids are like, "Oh, we financially lit." I'm like, "Hey, yes you are, yes you are, yes you are." So I try to keep it fun, culturally relevant. So yeah, hit me up on the website. I love to connect with you all.
Okay. Well, I truly appreciate you for taking time out of your day to speak with us
on
the Coins and Connections podcast. And again, guys, this is Ashley. She is the founder of Sense2Sense. Make sure you check her out. Go get the board game. Go get the flashcards. And when the book and coloring book drop, make sure you grab that too. And until next time, guys, bye.
Bye.
Thank you guys so much for listening and subscribing. Don't forget to share and leave a review for this podcast. If you have any questions, you can email me at hello@cinquantacoxsmith.com. You can follow me on Instagram at cinquantacoxsmith and at coinsandconnections.com. My websites are www.cinquantacoxsmith.com and www.coinsandconnections.com. You can join my Facebook group at Books Plus Business with Cinquanta Cox-Smith. I love you more than I love this podcast. Peace.